All right, let's jump into and talk about the Sunday night game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. The 0-2-1 Eagles versus the 2-1 49ers. Boo. This game between the, maybe with the exception of the Broncos, the two most injured teams up to this point. So the Eagles had their injury report today. They literally only had Greg Ward practicing. Every other wide receiver was a DNP on Thursday. We'll see if that changes on Friday. Dallas Goddard is out. I mean, the target consolidation between the top end guys here. It makes it really easy to decide who to start in this one. But man, does Carson Wentz need to have a bounce back game, and it's going to be really hard for him to do that without his weapons. Whereas the 49ers, we know, are completely decimated on both sides of the ball. We'll see what happens this week. So I'm trending towards assuming that Mostert is out this week, but we'll see if that changes tomorrow. And I'll make a note when we go over the starts and sits. But 46 over under, one of the lower over unders on the week. The 49ers are given a favored points of 7, so implied points 26.5 to the Eagles 19.5. The Eagles have been average on defense, giving up the 18th most points to quarterbacks. A little bit better at slowing down the run than the pass. That's basically the same trend that they had last year, whereas the 49ers have been pretty good on defense, but they haven't played anyone outside of the Cardinals, and they weren't really good against the Cardinals in week 1. But then they played the Jets and the Giants, so you'd expect them to have better performances. So I think these numbers are a little bit skewed for the 49ers, especially considering the amount of star pieces that they're missing. So that being said, I'm not really nervous about either of these defenses. I don't know that this will be a shootout by any means, but I don't look at the matchup and say, oh no, you can't start anybody on the Eagles side because they're playing the 49ers. Their defense is not what it was last year, and hopefully Carson Wentz recognizes the urgency of having to have a good week this week. So on the Eagles side, you're going to be starting Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is currently averaging the 12th most points per game at running backs, and he really should be much higher when you consider last week. He should have had a 50-yard touchdown bomb that Carson Wentz has completely missed on him. He's averaging like over 80% of the running back touches, which is the workhorse that you want. He is seeing a ton of work, and eventually is going to come through with like a 30-point splash game. So this could be the week the 49ers surrendered the most points that Kenny Drake has seen all season, so I'm hoping for a good game from Miles Sanders. Greg Ward, as we mentioned, is literally the only healthy receiver as of Thursday. I think I think Arcega-Whiteside and Hightower will end up playing this week, but Greg Ward saw a ton of targets last week. He's really the only guy that Carson Wentz can trust at this point. Till they get Alshon Jeffrey and Jalen Reagor back, Greg Ward is going to see a ton of targets, as will Zach Ertz. So all these guys are good plays. Don't give yourself the potential brain hemorrhage of playing Carson Wentz this week in the Eagles defense. Even against Nick Mullens, I'm not gonna rush out and do that. I'm not playing any of the other peripheral options here. It's Sanders, Ward, and Ertz or bust for me. On the 49ers side, I was making this with the assumption that Raheem Mostert is out. I think Jerrick McKinnon will play, but of course he's also questionable. So there's quite a few up in the air situations here. It makes it really murky for the 49ers backfield. Basically, the way I see it here is if they are comfortable with starting these players, you're going to start them yourself. So if Raheem Mostert is active, then you're going to play Mostert. If McKinnon is active, you'll play McKinnon. If both of them are out, that's the only time I'm going to be playing Jeff Wilson. But as long as McKinnon or Mostert or both are active, I'm keeping hands off Jeff Wilson. He wasn't able to get anything done on the ground. He just lucked into a touchdown through the air, so don't want to deal with that situation. But Jerrick McKinnon has looked really explosive, and obviously Raheem Mostert has been really good up to this point. So I'm comfortable playing either of those guys if they're active. George Kittle looks like he's going to be a full go, so he's going to end up being the number one receiver on this team. So it's going to be battle of the tight ends here between Kittle and Ertz. Like Kittle a lot coming back this week. 49ers defense make for a decent play. Carson Wentz has thrown 2 interceptions every single game this year. We'll see if he can keep that trend up going into Sunday night, but the 49ers defense should be a pretty interesting fantasy play. Not going to talk you into playing Nick Mullens, or I mentioned Jeff Wilson already as someone that I would try to bench. Only way I'm playing him is if all the other running backs ahead of him are out. Brandon Nyuk had a really good game last week, but I think this is going to be more of a Kittle show. I'm not sure that he's going to see the same amount of touches. You can talk me into it if you have a deep enough league, or if you had enough players that you had to throw on the bench due to the Titans-Steelers game getting canceled, but probably going to try to find another option there. Same thing with Kendrick Bourne. Not playing any of the other wide receivers here either. So I do think this would be a lower scoring affair, and I know I'm going to get impaled for this one, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but I actually think the Eagles pull this one out. I'm calling for the upset. The Eagles finally get things right. It's the game that everyone's counting them out, and that's when they normally dig into their underdog self, turn things around. I got the Eagles winning this one 20-17. Don't at me.